Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Excited to have our Hall of Famer here joining us once again, Dr. Bonnie Ring joining us here. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I am just fine. We're going to get winter rain starting today.
Oh, really? In California? Interesting. What is the temperature like there right now?
High 50s.
Oh, okay. Wow. Interesting. Could use some, right?
What?
You could use some rain, right?
We can always use some rain. As long as it doesn't come in deluges like last year.
Beautiful. Well, we're excited to have you here and always willing to talk about the latest topics out there. And some of them are unfortunate. We have a lot of hate crimes going on. We have what's happening with Hamas, with Israel. So maybe the perfect segue for our show for today. Bonnie, what did you want to discuss specifically?
Well, I wanted to talk about the fact that when we are mistreated as children, we're likely to move in one of two directions. We either become abusers ourselves, or we lose our ability to be assertive, and we are afraid of provoking others. And I think both of those reactions are serious and damaging both to the culture and to relationships and to an individual's growth and development. Yeah. What worries me about the hate that is spewing forth around the world, and especially in America, is that it's a return to attitudes that really are in violation of everything we stand for as American citizens. Everything that democracy upholds says all people are created equal and are due the same rights. And I find myself just inundated with data about how much hate has risen just since the Hamas attack on Israel. It's like 400%. 400% in like less than a month or a month. It's terrible.
Wow.
And I worry about people who fit into any of the despised categories, whether they be minorities, gay, lesbian, transgendered, bisexual, queer, or women, or Jews, or now Arabs. None of them are safe on the streets, and all of them are terrified. And it's all because we have no control over hate mongering in our country. The freedom to speak has allowed people to say things and do things that are despicable and cruel and harmful. I was watching CBS this morning today, and there was a transgendered person on, and she talked about the fact that when the polls are out, the majority of people in opposition to transgender changes are those who think it's morally wrong. Because there's one line in the Bible that says God created man and woman. But that was written 2,000 years ago or more.
Wow.
And that's what they understood about humanity 2,000 years ago. But this lovely woman, it described what it was like to find her real identity and what it's like to be whole and full as a human being. That's my dog.
Oh, hello.
There must be somebody at the door. So talk a little bit about people who are afraid to be assertive, because I think that they deprive themselves of their rights by not asking for them. And I had a client write me this morning that she finally filed a complaint against a fellow employee for refusing to work with her. And she only did it because I urged her to. She's never done anything like that in her whole life, and she's 40. It's really important for us to stand up for ourselves and to ask for what we need and to say what we think. And in a hate-filled society, that's scary. Or in an abusive family, that's scary.
Yep.
You get punished for being who you are instead of applauded and supported for being who you are. There was also I think on the show this morning, a nice warm wrap, and it came with a message that said, "You are loved just the way you are." And I wish we could have that blazoned, have planes go around and write it in the sky. You are loved just as you are.
Yeah.
So, I do think that there are people benefiting from hate mongering, and it's part of the political spectrum today. We have a former president that's willing to threaten all those who have not stood by him and to do damage to them should he get elected.
Mm-hmm.
This is not America. This is wrong. It's morally wrong, and it's psychologically damaging. And I feel the need to speak about it. I don't know that that's my job as a Woman of the Year, but I think as a human being, when I get a mailing like I did yesterday from the Southern Poverty Law Center describing the extent of hate mongering across America today, I'm horrified. And that's how I woke up this morning. I read their booklet about how hate is so pervasive and so damaging to people's sense of safety and security. I think that if we could teach love, caring, mutual respect, the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, we'd be much closer to the reality of what we need to be as a country. And I think that's just an excuse. Israelis and the Hamas have been at war with one another for 60 years. It's not going to change. 70 years, I think it is. It's not going to change. It has nothing to do with the rest of us. And I think that whether you believe there is an inherent right for Jewish people to have a return to their homeland or not, they have a right to live in safety. They have a right not to be harassed or stolen and made hostages. They have a right to feel safe. And I think now we have a huge Palestinian population that is endangered. And they have a right to live just as much. They're not Hamas, but they are in Hamas territory. And Hamas has taken all those hostages and waged war. It's amazing how in a few days life can change for a group of people that dramatically. And well, I want people to be proud of who they are. I want them to enjoy their ethnic identity if they're proud of it, and to free themselves of it if they're not. I want people to be free to be exactly who they are and come into their fullness as God created them. And I believe there is a God that knows no enemies.
No.
That we're all beloved. We're all created equally. We're all endowed with qualities and gifts that will make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
So I want to start process against hate. That's my message for today. And I want to encourage people to say what they think, do what they want, get what they want and need, and ask for it, especially in relationships. You know, I think one of the hardest things that I see in couples that are not in good relationship is that they don't ask for what they want, and then they resent they're not getting it when they themselves have contributed to the problem. So this is a good time for us to anticipate Thanksgiving and Christmas, Hanukkah, and New Year's, and say, let's turn over a new leaf. Let's see how much more generous we can be about each other. Let's see if we can learn to know somebody that's different from us and accept them and make an effort. You know, language doesn't have to be the barrier. The barrier's in our heads.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. It's in our heads. I also want to warn my audience that in a few weeks, this program is going to stop. And at the end of November. And I just want to express my appreciation for the opportunity to talk about the things that I think are important and to relate to people that I can't even see, and to ask you to carry on the good, thoughtful, caring generosity that I think propels my life, and I hope will propel yours.
I don't want to lose you. We won't say goodbye. We'll say till next time. I told you I'm coming to visit. But oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But wow. Well, you know, here you are so inspirational on this podcast. And obviously you work as a doctor all these years. And what else do you do during the day? What are your hobbies? What do you do? Are you writing? What do you do?
There are two hobbies I have. One is I make jewelry, and I'm not wearing any of it today. But I make earrings and necklaces for friends, and sometimes I sell them, and sometimes mostly I just give them away. But that's been a source of great delight, and it started with my mother. It started when my mother was getting old. She was in her 80s, and I gave her a book about making jewelry, and I brought her some tools, and I said, why don't you consider having this as your hobby?
Yeah.
She died very shortly after that. So guess who got all the tools and all the jewelry? And now that it's close to Thanksgiving, two things. One is the International Gem and Jewelry Show is coming to San Mateo in Thanksgiving weekend, and I will go out and buy more beads. And I let them talk to me. They tell me they're beautiful. And I say, you're for so-and-so and you're for so-and-so. And I've made some really beautiful things. And the other thing that I like to do, and I don't do as much of, but I did. But when I was writing my dissertation, I had to have some reprieve. I would get up every morning and sit at my desk and write. I type. This was pre-computer time. I type, and I would work until 5 o'clock. And on Saturdays and Sundays, I would cook. So one of the things I have to look forward to is I auctioned off a paella dinner at my church for our 50th anniversary. And so I love making paella. It's yummy. And I've eaten it all across Spain. So I know how to make it and how to make it taste good. So those are my two hobbies. And I think everybody should have hobbies.
Yeah.
The other thing, what else would I do during the day is this is tax time. This is the end of the tax season. At least in California, we were given an extra 7 months because of the storms. And I thank God I've gotten my taxes done. So I'm celebrating.
You do them all yourself?
No, I just have to come up with all the figures. And
yes,
sold my house after 23 years. Can you imagine figuring out 23 years of improvements? It was
Oh,
it was an 8-week task daily.
ah.
I
Where are you living now? But you're still, well, since I've talked to you.
no, I moved 18 months ago from Moss Beach, 7 miles to Half Moon Bay.
Got it. Okay.
I no longer see the ocean from my living room window. And I miss that, but I don't miss that enough to regret change. I think that as I've gotten older, I need less space and less requirements, and
Mm-hmm.
so this little house is perfect for what I need now. But Half Moon Bay is a very different community than Moss Beach. Moss Beach is an unincorporated town, so you're governed by the county supervisors. You really have no voice, no vote.
Mm.
And Half Moon Bay, on the other hand, is a incorporated city with a city council and city rules and city taxes. And I was only 7 miles away, but it's like entering another world and getting to know a new community. But it's a more embracing community and a more inclusive community. And then we do have the beauty of the coast.
Of course. Awesome. Oh my goodness. Wow. And during the move, so okay. So you live alone. Who helped you with all this? Do you have friends, family, or you hire movers? And how do you go through 23 years? So all your stuff.
Yeah.
How do you downsize? That's a mental challenge.
The mistake I made was to declutter the house. I put a lot of stuff in storage while I was marketing it. And if I had at the same time gotten rid of that stuff, it would have been a lot easier move. So the move took 12 hours with 4 men. But before the 4 men, everybody in my church came over, packed books, and donated books galore, because I couldn't accommodate all the books that I'd accumulated in 80 years. And I'm forever grateful for their contribution, because I couldn't have done it alone. I just couldn't have. But the truth is that in the next 10 months, I moved on January 5th, and beginning January 6th, I had to start downsizing. And there's still clutter in my hallway, so that tells me I haven't finished.
Got it. I don't feel so bad. I have clutter everywhere. I have bins and bins, and now Halloween decorations, and I have a 6 and 8-year-old. So I talk about my clutter all the time, because never enough time in the day. There's 4 bedrooms in the house, and 1 bedroom you can't go in it. God forbid anyone wants to sleep over. They sleep on the couch. It's filled with paperwork, clothes, and even my bedroom, there's piles of mail and piles. I just can't never get out of the Rat Pack pile. And it just mentally, stressfully weighs on me.
Yes, but it also says you're busy. Your life is full.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I got clutter too, and I don't think I'll ever be without it. But like this morning, I decided the time had come to take the lightweight short sleeve clothes and put them in the guest room, and take the velvets and the wools and put them in the bedroom. And as I was doing that, I was saying to myself, now, how many of these things do you still fit into?
Am I really going to wear them?
Am I really going to wear them? So one of my goals, of course, I really want to start my 2023 taxes now. But one of my goals is to try things on, and if they're 2 sizes too big, to say, let somebody else enjoy them. Let somebody else benefit from my largesse and download. And the same is true of books and papers.
Yeah.
It is so easy to collect. I have one neighbor that every time I walk by his house, there's another little, what's the right word? Tchotchkes is the one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
But all these kind of little sparkly things. And I want to ask him, and I will one of these days when I have the courage, I want to ask him, Who's the collector, you or your wife?
Yeah.
Walk by, there's another little thing. It's either a turtle or it's a beetle or it's a baseball player in miniature or something. Plus, I mean, he's a great gardener and his plants are beautiful, but he's got all these things around them, all these things. And, it's a habit we get into and it's hard to break. That's the truth. I think you'd have to ask some really good friends to be with you while you unload. And go to that one room as a start. And start with the things that are closest to the door. How many of them do you really still need?
True.
I would be happy to give a session on decluttering because I think it's everybody's nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy to let go. And I think some things we just hold on to because they make us feel secure.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't contribute to our security. They only contribute to our craziness.
True again.
Now I want to see what your T-shirt says. It says, which way?
Which way? Ready?
Yeah.
To the
Oh.
wine. No, I have on a nice dress top for today for the show. Can you see it? Here, look. And then I was so cold. I had to put a sweatshirt on. I have a nice shirt on, but I'm like, it is so cold today. And I have a blanket. So I had to throw it on. So I apologize. It's not as professional as it should be, but I was cold.
It's cute. You're always so properly dressed that I had noticed.
Thank you. And so are you. Always looking good. Well, we still got just a few minutes left here today, Dr. Bonnie Ring. And you said, how many more shows do we have?
2 more.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you. And for those of you that tuned in earlier, we were talking about all this hate in the world, all this hate. What do you suggest? I mean, is it as simple as be kind to your neighbor, be kind, hold the door for someone at the store? I'm built that way. I don't think that's going to change the world, but that's who I am. Any suggestions on kindness and how we can instill kindness in others?
I think one of the things we could do is to ask ourselves how we would feel if we experienced the hate that we exhibit.
Yeah.
And I think we'd be horrified at the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that doing unto others as you would do to yourself, or as Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. And most of us don't love our neighbor and we don't love ourselves. So starting with you is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Notice when you criticize yourself. Notice how you condemn yourself. And notice how you make yourself feel bad. And then realize that's what you're doing to somebody else. And it's not helpful. It's not helpful. But what is helpful, I think, is allowing yourself to experience love, letting people know you, care about you, and treat you well. And I think that's what enables us, strengthens us, and inspires us.
Yeah.
To be kind to others. So I want to pitch my Dr. Bonnie Ring at Comcast.net 560, area code 650-560-8590.
Oh.
Call me, email me, let me know you're out there. I would love to hear from you.
Oh, we always love hearing from you, speaking with you, and looking forward to the last few sessions with you. Thank you so much, Dr. Bonnie Ring.
Be well.
You too, sweetheart. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.